Hi everyone. I decided to shoot a video. I'm going to post this document on the KDR group page. This is one of my assignments from my master's, and this is a chapter in the book that I've been working on for um, past year. Hopefully, I can get it done sometime this year. But the idea was a book that was basically five myths or five false facts that people believed associated with nutrition. And one of those false facts is the fact that they don't think that most people think that they don't need to take a multivitamin. They think that they can get all the nutrients that they need through their diet alone, right? And okay, so you don't need to take a multivitamin, and you can't get all of the nutrients and vitamins, minerals, etc., through your diet alone, right? Okay, now you don't need to take a multivitamin. Okay, you don't need to take a multivitamin if um, you're eating like 20,000 calories a day. Okay, but you do need to take a multivitamin if you want to kick the most amount of ass, if you want to have the best fat loss, if you want to be building the most amount of lean body mass, if you want to be the healthiest person that you can be. Okay. We do recommend people take our multivitamins. Our multivitamins are pharmaceutical grade. They're third party tested. You can't get them at Walmart or Rite Aid. They are gender specific and they are life stage specific. So a male should take different multivitamins than a female. A postmenopausal female should take different multivitamins than a female trying to get pregnant. Um, so that's a big one, right? You can't just go out and get just generic gummy bear multivitamin. And you're all adults, so hopefully you're not eating gummy bear multivitamins anyway. So what I did was I'll upload this whole document. You guys can read it, but I went through and I underlined the really kind of big important parts. So let's see here. All right. First, underline. So there are 14 vitamins, and these are broken down into fat soluble, which is your K, A, D, and E. And then you have your water soluble, which are all of these right here. So all these water soluble vitamins. So fat soluble vitamins, basically, they build up in fat tissue. They're stored in fat tissue. And that also means that you should eat them with a fatty meal. And water soluble vitamins, what you don't use, you essentially piss out. There are minerals and elements that are these right here. Generally, you need a very, very low dosage of these. And they are sometimes easy to get in food and sometimes not. And sometimes, like, so for instance, iodine isn't found in a lot of foods. All right, so that's the talk about phytonutrients, blah 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 blah. Okay, so why isn't it important for you to understand what different vitamins and minerals do in your body? Remember, there are um, roughly 28 to 30 vitamins and minerals. Okay, so that's kind of daunting to go through what do all of them do, right? But basically, rather than worry about vitamins and minerals do individually, let's look at the big rocks of their function. Essentially, all vitamins and minerals help to build things, protect things, convert food or macronutrients into energy, and or activators or initiators. Okay, so that's basically the general rule of all vitamins and minerals. Okay, how much do I need of different vitamins and minerals? That's a really, 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 really hard question to answer. So most people are familiar with the term RDA. This is what is generally on the back of a food label or whatever. The RDA is the amount of a nutrient needed for 97 to 98% of the population to consume in order to not be deficient in that vitamin and mineral. Now, hold on for 1 second. 97 to 98% of the population. Understand that only about 15% of the population exercises. Okay, so that 15% of the population that exercises, they are not taken care of in this 97 to 98% of the population. I understand it's a little confusing, but if we go back up here and we look at this and we say, okay, if people that are exercising will generally consume more calories because they're putting out more energy. They will generally need more calories to help build tissues that they're breaking down, right? So more protein because they're breaking down muscle tissue. They will generally need to protect more things because they're creating more antioxidants through exercise. And they're also creating just more cellular damage through exercise. That's not a bad thing. They will need to convert more energy into, or excuse me, convert more macronutrients into energy. So they will need more nutrients for that. And they will generally have more nutrients needed for activating and initiating different processes in the body. Okay, so an active person needs more vitamins and minerals than somebody who is not active. All right, so we come down here. So we already hit this. How do you determine the right level of micronutrients for you? Good luck. There are a number of factors that go into this: age, gender, activity level, weight, goal, right? We talked about nursing versus not nursing, or postmenopausal versus premenopausal. So there's a lot to go into it. But a 15-year-old male who weighs 180 pounds, in-season soccer player, will need a different level of macro and micronutrients than a 30-year-old, 160-pound pregnant woman. And that same male will need different levels when they're out of season, right? Macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fat. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. All right, so people will always say, like, well, what if I get vitamin toxicity? What happens if I take too much? All right, so that's referred to as the tolerable upper limit or upper limit, right? This is a level at which toxic effects from micronutrients has been observed. However, when we talk about this, like most things in the body, this isn't set in stone. For instance, the tolerable upper limit of magnesium is 350 milligrams, and the toxic effect is you have disaster pants. You poop yourself, diarrhea, pretty pronounced diarrhea. However, I know some people that will take 2,000 milligrams and have no adverse reactions whatsoever. Also, depending on how you're taking it, like is it on an empty stomach or with food, what time of the day, blah blah blah, can all impact that tolerable upper limit. In over 20 years of working with thousands of people, I've never come across anyone that has ever experienced profound or detrimental micronutrient toxicity. If you take too much magnesium and you get the runs the next morning, that's not profound or detrimental toxicity, right? Everybody wants to bring up the story about, well, I know somebody who ate too many carrots and their skin turned orange. No, you don't. You don't know anybody who ate too many carrots and their skin turned orange. You might have heard that from somebody, but the amount of carrots that you'd have to eat in order for that to happen is on the magnitude of kilograms. Okay, not pounds, kilograms. A lot, right? Generally, it's very hard to reach toxic levels of vitamins. Minerals are a different story. Okay, that is a little bit different story. It's minerals you need a lot less of, and so it is a little bit easier to reach tolerable upper limits or toxic effects. But again, I've never seen it. Your body has a mechanism whereby the more of a nutrient you ingest, the less of it you absorb. That's one of the reasons why it's a good idea to space your vitamin intake out, right? All right. So we keep going down here, keep going, trying to make this video short. Okay, so this talks about the research section. What about actual studies or info concerning this topic? Now, understand that this is very difficult to do. So think about it. How many different types of diets are there in the world? You have countrywide diets. A diet in Japan is different than the U.S., but then you have contrived diets like the Atkins diet, the Zone. So it's very difficult to actually look at different diets and say, well, does this diet give us the vitamins and minerals that we need? And remember, we're not talking about what you have to think about it as like there's a base minimum, right? So like vitamin C, you need to take a bare minimum of vitamin C to prevent scurvy. I've never met anybody in my life that's ever gotten scurvy or that knows anybody that got scurvy, right? Okay, but then if you consume a little bit more vitamin C, well, then you get some benefits of boosting your immune system. If you consume a little bit more vitamin C over that, then you get benefits of aiding in wound healing, right? If you eat a little bit more vitamin C over that, then you'll start to have some symptoms that will be in that toxic level that will basically consist of diarrhea and stomach cramps. It's not going to kill you, okay? So don't think that too much vitamin C is going to kill you. No, you'll know. Your body has a really easy way of telling you, hey, you ate too much, right? And that's generally diarrhea or stomach cramps. Anyway, so found a study. Food alone may not provide sufficient micronutrients for preventing deficiency. This is in sports nutrition. Remember I told you guys, right? An active person needs more vitamins and minerals than somebody who's not active, okay? Looked at 70 diets, and here's what the researchers found. 70 diets were computer analyzed the menu of athletes or sedentary subjects seeking to improve the quality of micronutrient intake from food choices. All of these dietary analyses fell short of the recommended 100% RDA micronutrient level from food alone, right? So there you go. There's one. That's 70 diets, okay? Not a single one of them hit the minimum number of vitamins, minerals you need to get in a day. Minimum, not optimal. All right. There was a stellar study, American Dietetic Association, 1995. Problems encountered in meeting, recommended dietary, blah, blah, blah. You can read all this. right? So basically what they did was they had a bunch of dietitians design 22 to 2,400 calorie menus using the dietary guidelines for Americans. First of all, 2,200 to 2,400 calories is a lot of calories to eat, right? I guarantee most of you are not eating that. All right, so these are made up by dietitians. These are diets were made by people whose job it is to make diets, healthy diets. The result: menus were analyzed for energy, cholesterol, and 18 nutrients. Only 11% of the menus met the RDA for zinc. Half of the menus did not meet the RDA for vitamin B6, and 1/3 did not meet the RDA for iron. Right. So these dietitians couldn't even come up with a diet that was adequate to give you to hit those minimum levels, right? Minimum, not optimal. We're going for optimal. Nobody wants to be minimum. People want to be optimal. That's not awful. So, and then just to kind of give you an idea, 2,200 to 2,400 calories, a gigantic amount of calories to be eating when it's all healthy food, not processed food. All right. Okay, so this is my favorite study. This was, again, International Society of Sports Nutrition, Prevalence of Micronutrient Deficiency in Popular Diet Plans. This one looked at 4 diets. Atkins diet, which is essentially a low-carb, high-protein, moderate fat. South Beach diet, this diet right here is generally what we will put people on. South Beach diet, essentially Mediterranean diet, moderate protein, high fat, low carbs. We also will tinker around with this diet a little bit. Best Life, low fat, moderate protein and carbs. This is we don't really like this diet too much. The DASH diet is an awful diet. We won't even talk about that. It was actually created by medical and nutrition professionals. They don't know what they're doing because they made a really, really bad diet. Anyway, the results. The study determined that none of the diets provided the minimum. Remember, we don't want minimum, we want optimal sufficiency for essential vitamins and minerals necessary for optimal health. 44% sufficient in hitting the minimums. Hit less than 12 of the RDs. You guys can read all this. This is all in the paper. There's a great book written by a guy named Jason Colton, PhD. It's called Naked Calories. But basically what he did was he went in to look at that study, and he said, hey, you know what, let's just figure out how many calories you need to eat. So on average, he figured out that you would need to eat 27,000 calories to hit the minimum intake levels for micronutrients. Now think about that. That's impossible. Okay, Michael Phelps was eating like 18,000 calories a couple Olympics ago, and he was working out in the pool for like 8 hours a day. So this kind of gives you an idea. Atkins came in at 37,000. Best Life Diet came in at 20,000. Dash Diet 33,000, etc., etc. And then what I did was I put a little table in here, and this just shows you the percentage of people that is deficient or that are deficient in different micronutrients. This table came from National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, and this was 2014. So this is a pretty good idea of what your, vitamin D, E, magnesium. Adult, 95% of people are deficient in vitamin D. Why do you think we want you to take a vitamin D supplement? 94% deficient in vitamin E. 61 magnesium, 51% vitamin A, 49% calcium. Vitamin A, if you are deficient in vitamin A is used to is used in weight loss, right? Your body uses vitamin A. You will not lose as much weight if you're deficient in vitamin A. Vitamin C, 43%. And then the B vitamins are a little more common that you won't be deficient in them just because they tend to be loaded into other foods. And then you can kind of see this. Okay, so hopefully this helps you understand why we want you to take a multivitamin. And, if you want to read this whole thing, you're more than welcome to. Thanks, guys.